And for those of you who don't know me, I guess I should introduce myself and then I'll say my website. My name is Amber Lee Forrester. They call me the Flow Coach. I'm a positive psychology practitioner and certified life coach. I do career coaching and business coaching as well. I've been an entrepreneur for over 15 years now. And my company, Quartz Wellness Collective, is a community that I founded with the mission of helping mostly women and young women to on their personal and professional development journeys. I offer online courses. I have a blog. I do interviews. I have a YouTube channel. I just got a bunch of positive content out there that I share, tips on positive psychology. And if you don't know, positive psychology is the science of human flourishing. For years, psychology just tried to get us to moderately mentally healthy. And then it evolved into how can we be our best selves? And there's actually a science behind that with tons of studies. So a lot of what I'm sharing with you today is positive psychology based. And my website is quartzwellnesscollective.com. That's QUARTZ, wellnesscollective.com. I'm going to put my latest blog post in the chat. So give me 1 second and you can kind of read along with me as I go through some of these. But I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips on staying well during the coronavirus quarantine.
Thank you, Amber. Appreciate it. So once again, welcome everybody. This is the first of hopefully what will be a series of group coaching sessions. My name is Michele Brown. For many of you who may not know me, I'm an executive and career coach. I've been doing this for about 15 years, and boy, oh boy, are we in some unprecedented times. So Amber and I, she's been a close friend and a colleague. You know, we just kind of put our heads and our hearts together and said, we want to offer support. We don't necessarily have a pretty structured agenda for the next now 45 minutes, but she and I want to sort of kick it off with some tips and techniques. Amber, as I'm sure she mentioned, is a positive psychology specialist and a life coach, and is very knowledgeable about, you know, mindsets and wellness. And obviously with my background as a executive and career coach, we want to be able to just kick off the call with some tips and techniques about how to survive and thrive during these times. But most importantly, the lion's share of today's call will be hearing from you. As coaches, we want to support you. We want you to pose questions. And our hope is that by the end of the call, not only can we provide some support, but there may be input from everyone else on the call. Again, this is a collective and we're all in this together. Okay, so Amber, do you want to go or do you want me to go with my tips? You're muted.
Sorry about that. No, I was saying I've been talking for a while, so we'll give them a break of my lovely voice and start off with your tips, and then we could go.
All right, cool. I'll take the mic. So what I want to share, there's sort of, it's not even an acronym, but I want you to think about CCT: communication, compassion, and trust. So I'm going to be talking to you sort of through the lens of your career and your sort of work life, your profession. So when we think about communication during this time, especially since we are working remotely, many of you, and we're going to want to open up the airwaves and hear how many have now had to work remotely for the first time and how many of you may be really skilled at it. But working remotely, if you're not used to it, can feel very isolated. So the communication bit is on twofold. If you are a manager of a team, if you've got people that are reporting into you, staying in communication with them is going to be critical. You know, whether it's going to be a touch base every day in the morning, come up with a schedule so that they know when they can hear from you and also what type of access they have to you. If you don't work with a team of people, then you want to make sure that you are tapping into your manager as often as possible. I mean, the communication flow is going to be critical, not only to keep abreast and to provide a status update in terms of what, your projects are. But again, I can't underscore enough how communication is just going to be key. And again, if there's any questions around communication, I'll open it up to address any questions. The second C is compassion. Again, these are really tough times, and people's emotional state and anxiety is probably at an all-time high. So first off, it's important that we be compassionate with ourselves. We may not feel as motivated, we may not feel as productive as we have historically been. So being compassionate with ourselves is important. And again, that can be a communication even to the people that we work with, like manage expectation. A lot of you are homeschooling your children. So there's compassion for our kids, right. Because they're home, they're dealing with cabin fever. They've got a lot of pressures about having to kind of work independently. So compassion is going to be key. I mean, this is where we really can become more human and not put so much pressure on expectation. So compassion is going to be key. And then the last is trust. I say this to say, we have to trust ourselves in terms of, we're going to do the best we can in terms of being able to manage our time, be as productive as we can, but trust the amount of time that you want to put into work. The good thing about working remotely is you don't necessarily always have to do it from 9 to 6 or whatever your working hours may have been. Trust that the work is going to get done and squeeze it in a schedule that's going to work best for you. And if, again, you're working with a team or you're part of a cross-functional team, trust and give other people the benefit of the doubt. It's all about managing expectations at this point. All right, so yeah, that's what I wanted you guys to remember: communication, compassion, and trust. Okay.
So while we're in the flow of that, does anyone have any questions or any concerns or comments that have come up while Michele was addressing the communication, compassion, and trust from a working from home standpoint?
Well, I have a question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question that was asked of me the other day, and I was just curious on your input, specifically on that trust piece. How to trust that folks are getting things done. So whether they directly report to you or they're indirect report, you're now not seeing them at work. Maybe they're not as communicating as much with the email, and you don't necessarily want to be micromanaging or being on top of them all the time. So how do you elevate your trust that they're getting their job done when you don't see it? And if you're not sure if they're getting it done, how do you politely nudge them in a way that kind of inspires them to do their job without feeling like they're being, like I said, micromanagers or not trusted?
That's a good question, Lisa. And my theory and suggestion on that is there still has to be some protocol or structure that we should communicate. Again, regardless of whether we have a team reporting into us or we're part of a team, setting up expectations in terms of the structures to say on a day-to-day basis, what should be my practice in terms of checking in. A lot of managers, and I have a lot of clients, that I've been coaching through this as they're looking to establish what that policy and protocol looks like, is every morning they'll schedule a check-in call. And that check-in call with their team, doesn't have to go right into business. It's just like, how's everybody doing, right? We want to make sure, again, this is where the compassion piece, you're checking in with people emotionally. And then it's, okay, any questions about the projects that you have? And it really should be that, honestly, this is just my suggestion and what my observation has been in working with a lot of leaders, that the members of your team should be able to communicate when they're going to be online and offline. Again, not so that they're monitored, but there should be an understanding and a communication about when you're going to be online or offline, so that, instant messaging or whatever group chats are established, each other should know what type of access they have. So I think it's really up to the team members and the team leader to sort of agree on what that looks like, so that whatever the projects are, that they're being worked on and there's a progress update on an ongoing basis. Does that answer the question, Lisa?
Yes, thank you. I am all about expectations and structure and protocols, so that really kind of give me a little bit more of the.
Yeah, establishing the structure is going to be key.
Thanks.
Does anyone else have any question as it relates to how to kind of optimize and organize working remotely?
So this is Anissa, and thank you so much for doing this. And I don't have a lot of questions, but I'm enthused by just having conversations about the best way to do the CCT, right? I don't have a lot of worry about the trust. I work with 2 other individuals on a project, and we have thus far been kind of like communicating however we can, whenever we need to, but more so just really thinking about how do we have a regular communication. I heard you say something about maybe like a daily check-in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would be good for them. I was hoping that they would both be on this, so it could help us to kind of like confirm some of the things that we need to be doing as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, you know, we have a team leader who actually is the leader of 5 different projects.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of hard to have that regular communication since we've been designated working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, for me, is really new.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really just trying to get a grasp on how do I get the best out of, you know, what I'm doing at home and also be able to fulfill my workload.
Yeah, can I address that, Anissa?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. So you bring up a really good point. So you have colleagues that you are part of the team, correct? Did I hear that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
So what I would suggest is that, you know, maybe sending out an email to them and collectively agreeing on what's the intervals of when the touch points should be. It doesn't have to be every day. That's just an example. It may be a bit overkill, but by sending out an email, you could say, look, let's get together, at least have one teleconference or video conference, depending upon what your technology tools are, and agree collectively on, should it be every other day? Should it be once a week? Should it be every day? I mean, there could be a conversation. This way, collectively, you guys are agreeing on, again, what the protocol is. How should we communicate? And this way, you're setting up the norm for how you all are going to stay on each other's radar and ensure that if there's any dependency that each of you have on each other for whatever the projects are, or it's just for information sharing or brainstorming, you guys are agreeing up front on what and how often those touch points should be.
Great, thank you.
Another tip I've been doing a lot of webinars for homeschooling parents who are working from home. And so in trying to figure out what our kids' schedules are and how they will affect our schedules, what we've been finding that's been very helpful is time blocking and communicating those time blocks with our colleagues. You know, normally I'm available between 9 and 5. However, during this time, I'm available between 11 a.m. and 12:30 and, you know, whatever, 2:30 and 5. And just being upfront about that so that people know and can manage their expectations of you.
Great. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Great. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Kiana.
Hi.
Oh, Kiana.
Yes.
Hi, Kiana.
No, it's okay. Hi. I might have missed this earlier because I jumped on a little bit later on the call, but to that point of the working mom, I'm having a challenge of just trying to stay focused and motivated being in the home environment. Now, virtually, my company, we've worked from home. I was working from home once or twice a week. So I do have really good systems in terms of how I interact with my coworkers. But being at home with the whole family here is the challenge for me, and how to separate my space and be able to, you know, do the homeschooling, still get dinner done in a reasonable time. Just trying to juggle those things. I feel like my energy is very drained and I'm not able to focus in at work at all, or feel like I'm being productive on the other end because I'm trying to appear like I'm doing work when I'm really not doing as much. The impact is not there. So I feel stuck in a very unproductive place right now where I'm totally frustrated, and I'm wondering what advice do you have for that?
Yeah. Amber, do you want to handle? I have a thought, but you're in the throes of that right now. So do you want to address it?
Sure. We can both address it. I'll say that I actually did a whole webinar that if you send me your email, Kiana, I can share the link to the webinar with you. It was a whole hour and a half with homeschooling moms who gave their advice to new homeschooling parents and a productivity coach. And so I'll just give you a couple highlights of what came from that. One is allowing just a little bit of a cushion and compassion phase for getting adjusted. This is an adjustment. And so, your employer hopefully has compassion and will understand that you need a couple days before you really find your flow of what can work for you and working from home. Your children, this is the time. How old are your kids?
I have a 5-year-old and a 10-month-old, and a loving husband who's been giving his all to help support, but we're all exhausted.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, and the loving husband, thank God for him that he's there to help as well. So for the 10-month-old, it's going to be a little different. For the 5-year-old, I'll tell you, this is a really great time to allow your child to be more independent. A lot of times we do things for kids because we can. And right now, there are going to be some boundaries that you have to set, and expecting your child to stretch just like we're stretching and do a little bit more for the household. And even at 5 years old, that can't look like, washing dishes, but that could look like helping mommy to clean up. Coming up with, we moved our snack drawer down so that my son can go and he can get his snacks when he wants to get them, and I don't have to get every snack. Setting up the environment for the kids proactively so that they're entertained and they have things to do, and it lets you have a longer bit of time where you can focus on other things, is also very helpful. So there's Lakeshore Learning is a website where you can order some at-home learning materials. If you don't have, there's Khan Academy. I have a bunch of other resources that I can send you when I share the link for the webinar. But keeping your children busy, and then also giving them a time and saying, okay, at this time, you can come to mommy, and you anchor your day with times that you'll spend together. For your 5-year-old, okay, sweetheart, I want you to play for an hour by yourself, or watch this movie, or do this thing by yourself. And then in an hour at this time, do you see the clock? At this time, that's when we're going to come together. Alexa is another thing. Michele got me an Alexa for Christmas, and I am so appreciative, because I tell my child, even when she's doing her homework and her homeschooling, to ask Alexa some questions that she would ask me. And I have an 8-year-old who's actually asking me questions right now as I speak and saying hi. But I challenge her to be more independent and do things on her own before she asks me. And I know that can feel uncomfortable with a 5-year-old, but we are naturally resilient as human beings. And this is a time that you will challenge your family, and we'll all grow from this. So I hope that helps a bit.
Yeah, well,
It's helpful, and please do send me the webinar.
Yeah, I will. I have your email, actually. I'll be sure to share that with you.
and Kiana, one other thing I want to add to underscore what Amber just shared is you're fortunate enough to have a husband, a partner, right home with you. Is that correct? You're muted.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of you may or may not have, but if you do have a partner, a husband, a wife that's home with you, very similar to the team dynamic of kind of a work environment between the two of you, you may want to come up with a schedule on how to manage your day. He's got his responsibilities, work responsibilities, you have yours. So you may want to sort of look at each day to determine, okay, this is when you're going to focus in on work, and I'll maybe take care of the kids or supervise them. And this is when I'm going to do some work and you can supervise the kids. So it really perhaps boils down to a bit of sort of time management in terms of how you and your partner can work together to sort of run the household and still get your work responsibilities, done reasonably.
You may also have to shift your schedule a bit. You may want to wake up a bit earlier or go to sleep a bit later. I tend to work in the late night, and so I've been doing a few late nights and letting my kids wake up a bit later because they don't have the commute to school. And so I'm able to get things done after they go to sleep in an uninterrupted time. I'm also managing my expectations, and I find things that I can do while they're awake and things that I cannot do while they're awake. And so the things that I can't do while they're awake, I'm either going to do during my son's nap or during my daughter's dedicated time for work or after they go to sleep. So, yeah.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. On the topic of work and productivity, is anyone having any productivity challenge or anything that we can address just while we're on the topic, kids or not?
I have something. Hi, everyone. My name is Porsha. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Porsha, we hear you.
Okay, great. So my situation is a little bit different. I am single, no children, 32. And I recently, about almost 9 months ago, quit my job. I wasn't happy, and I believe my passion is entrepreneurship. So I was just in the process before this whole coronavirus thing happened of just passed my state exams to get my license in real estate. I was interviewing with brokers, and then this happened. So I kind of feel like I'm at a standstill. I can't really do nothing. And I just feel like the days are going by. I'm not being productive. I feel like there's nothing for me to do. The fire under my behind was that the fact that I was living off savings, which was going to end by a certain time. So I need to get out there. I need to hustle. And now I can't do anything. So I'm just kind of stuck. I find myself just keep watching Netflix and just eating and just not being productive. And I just don't know, I guess, what I can do to make myself feel productive or continue to work on my real estate, if that makes sense.
Of course, of course. So I'll kind of give some food for thought. So you were able to obtain your license as a real estate salesperson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're now sort of pivoting, and up until this halt, you were doing networking to determine sort of what real estate company you could join?
Correct.
Okay, so here's just a thought. You don't necessarily have to stop the networking. It's really important for us to not feel that we have to pause because we feel that the world has kind of stopped. Networking, and again, depending upon, if I were your coach, and I am right now just temporarily, my suggestion would be with the short list that you have cultivated, and if you haven't cultivated a short list, my invitation is for you to cultivate a short list of brokers that you want to reach out to. Continue to reach out to them and look to see what availability they have. This can really still be your research, your due diligence. They may not be ready to sort of flip the switch to bring you on if the real estate market has slowed down, but you can still potentially make progress in researching, having conversations with a myriad of brokers to compare and contrast to see what type of brokerage firm you might want to join, and yeah, just use this as an opportunity to schedule video conferences or teleconferences. I mean, all you need is like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of their time, but you can still feel productive and use this as your prospecting, your networking and prospecting time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Porsha, I've got a couple words for you too. Michele, that was great. I think that, it's a lot of our perspective on how we look at this time, and you can really use this as a time to get ahead, and don't think of this as time off. Think of this as creative time. And so it's one thing I always tell small business owners in the beginning, you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I have to do? But once you get into your business, you're like, how do I have time to do all of this? So I would invite you to envision what you want your career to look like in a year, and start to make a list of the things that you need to accomplish between now and then. And when you look at that list, it should guide you towards some things that you can do with your time right now. If you're a real estate agent, are you interested in real estate investment? once you make a couple big sales, and especially in the New York area, when you get that nice percentage, you have some money that you might want to invest. Look into podcasts. You can consider looking into podcasts on real estate or reading a real estate book, listening to audible books. You are just entering the world of real estate. You don't even know what you don't know yet. There's so much information for you to gain, and you can be using this time to become an expert. When you get busy and when the market picks back up, you're not going to have this time. So don't take this for granted on Netflix, unless it's Netflix and something about real estate. You know, I would be really encouraging you to, again, look at where you want to be in a year or in 5 years, and use this time productively to read, research. Do you need a website? Do you need headshots? Do you need, like, what are the things that you need? And literally doing a brainstorm for, say, I'm going to think of everything I can think of in a half hour, and do not let yourself focus on anything else until you get that brainstorm done, and then let that guide you to find the things that you can fill your time with.
I absolutely love that. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to add one other thing, Porsha. We're going to overwhelm you. Trust me, you're probably going to be working more hours during this time. This is what happens when you talk to other people and all these great ideas come forth. Again, to build on what Amber just made reference to, is with whatever connections you have with other agents, you know, they've set up their business. And to Amber's point, this is now your time to set up your business in a way that enables you to kind of work on it in a larger share than working in it. Because when when you're out there as an agent, you know, selling properties and buying properties with your clients, your time is going to be in short supply. So now is the time to, you know, connect with some other agents and even brokers for that matter, not just for what opportunities you might have in working with them in their firm, but also sharing of best practices. To Amber's point, you know, what do I need to be prepared for? How should I handle marketing? How should I handle prospecting? All of this will really prepare you for hitting the ground running when the market opens back up again.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Porsha, if afterwards can we connect, because I would like to also I'm interested in real estate, and I would like to, maybe we could be accountable parties for each other to support each other while we're investigating. That's my Naomi Pemberton.
There you go.
I love that. That is so exciting that this can be a platform to connect as well. This is what this is all about. Naomi, I'm so glad you spoke up. And if anyone else has any connections that they want to make while on here, like, feel free, speak up. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you guys, if there aren't any questions right now, I'm going to give you my little list of 7 tips to stay sane and well during this coronavirus quarantine. And then I'll pause at the end for questions here as well. So my first tip is to start your day with meditation, prayer, breathing, and setting your intentions. One or all of those things. If you start your day by picking up your phone and reading the news and going to social media and seeing all of the crazy things that are going on, you're creating a hard start for yourself. A lot of times the way that we start our day is how our day continues. And so I just invite you to start your day without connecting and jumping into all of the fear and the anxiety that's being pumped out of the media, by going within. If you don't meditate and you're interested in meditating, you can go on YouTube and search for guided meditations. They're good ones as short as 5 minutes and as long as hours long. And you can take this as a time to start to learn how to meditate. If you're not about meditating and prayer is more comfortable for you, start your day saying prayers for the people that you care about and for yourself. Set your intention. What am I going to do with my day? Not just going downstairs and getting on the couch. If I've been wanting to lose a couple pounds, if I've been wanting to learn how to sew, what can I do with my day? How can I intentionally use this time? Like the things that we just talked about, Porsha, breaking those down into bite-sized chunks. So my second piece of advice is to stay informed but not obsessed. Turn the news on, find out what you need to find out for the day, and then turn it off. You can turn it back on in the evening, but I really highly encourage you guys, don't sit watching the news all day long. It is just studies. There's so much research on for us to have a positive mindset, we need 5 pieces of positivity for every piece of negativity that we receive. As humans, we have a negativity bias, and we tend to focus on the negative things. That's why we like to binge out on reality television and news and stuff. I just encourage you to be mindful of putting more positivity into your mind, more things that you're learning, more things that you're focusing on that are positive than the negative things. Managing your expectations and surrendering. This is a time where we can't control everything that's going on. So you got to have a bit of surrender in this. Control the things that you can, and those things are your decisions on what you can do with your time. You have to let go of and surrender the things that you can't, or else you're going to have resistance that's going to cause you stress. And these problems are going to be here anyway. I mean, like I had someone say, well, what if these are the last days? And I said, well, wouldn't you want to spend your last days doing something you enjoy instead of stressing about it being the last days? I mean, it's a grim way to look at it, but also a positive way to look at it. And it's all about the lens that we look at what's going on through. I didn't put this in here, but also being flexible. Michele and everyone, if you didn't already, you can scroll up. I put the link to this, the longer version of this, in my blog post that I did earlier today. So you can click on this and share it with friends if you like, or just have the list for yourself. So flexibility wasn't in there, but I'm going to add it because we really have to stay flexible. This is a time of change, and I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but the flexibility, we don't know what tomorrow holds. And by trusting, like Michele said, where you trust your colleagues, trust in yourself, trust in the universe, trust in your safety, and knowing that your panic is not going to help you. Staying calm is what's going to help you to get through this, and being flexible. And making the most of your time, like we talked about, figure out what you can do, make a decision to say, I'm going to be productive during this time. It's so important. I mean, you can learn a new language. I've been wanting to learn Spanish for a while. Like, I'm literally going to learn Spanish with my daughter. There are things, if you're a parent and you don't have enough of your own time to figure out how to try something new with your child. Teach your child something new and discover that childlike joy that it comes from their first time experiencing something and you experiencing it with them. Get outside. We are urged to practice social distancing. I highly recommend sticking with that because this thing is spreading like wildfire. But you can still get outside. You can still, not today because the weather's kind of crappy, but we've had some good weather days. You can go jogging. You can go and take a hike. There's an app called All Trails that lets you know hiking areas. You'd be surprised to know in New York and New Jersey how many areas there are to hike. So you can look up that All Trails, go get some exercise, get some fresh air, get vitamin D. It's proven to keep you healthier than staying cooped up in the house. Another thing is to be proactive about getting your nutrition. You'll see this in my blog post. Your vitamin C, your echinacea, your golden seal, your turmeric, your ginger, onions, God, I have a whole list of them. Elderberry, these are all things that help build our immune system. You want to build your immune system by exercising, by feeding yourself properly so that you can fight off the sickness, or if you do get it, like, to be quite honest, I may have it now and I don't know because my immune system has been heightened by all of what I've been doing, and I may be fighting it off well because of my immune system and because of my age also. But, you know, strengthening your immune system is important. Don't let yourself get sedentary. They say sitting is the new smoking. Do not, please, please, please do not stay sitting in the house. Get out. If it's walking around the block with a mask on, please get yourselves out of the house. And lastly, stay connected. We are not able to, in real life, hang out with our friends, but studies show that a FaceTime, a visual, a Zoom call, that this type of interaction is just as fulfilling as seeing someone in person, unless they're warm and you want to hug up and cuddle with them. So it may not be just as, but it's actually also very, helpful for us. They say that in positive psychology, we have a term that it's together we thrive. I'm not thinking of exactly what it is, and my cold medicine is kicking in. But it basically, one of the keys to not getting depressed is staying connected with people that you love and care about. So I just want to encourage you to check on a friend, acts of kindness, random acts of kindness, send someone a grocery delivery, FaceTime someone or Zoom someone. If you guys are tech savvy, you know that when you do a group text, when you press the FaceTime, you can get all those people on your group text can now be a part of a FaceTime, and you guys can do a little FaceTime party together and talk to each other and keep each other's spirits up. So just because you may not be able to see your loved ones in person, I really highly encourage you to stay connected with them through not just the phone, but also through video if you're able to. So those are just a few tips, and I just want to open up for any questions or comments or anything that resonated with you from that list. Okay.
I have one thought to just add about the exercise. Even when the weather is not working in our favor, there are tons of apps or even YouTube videos where you can do workout regimens. And when you have kids at home, which I don't, but you know, what better way to get them active is potentially doing a 20-minute, 30-minute sort of exercise with and get your kids, because that might, you know, they're going to be really kind of hyper if they're home, but maybe come up with a time during the day that you want to work out and include and incorporate your kids into that regimen.
Yeah, a 10-month-old can make a really great weight for squats. So can a 3-year-old. So great. So as we have a few more minutes, it's 1:18, so we've got another 12 minutes. Does anyone else have anything coming up? Any questions, any concerns, any struggles, any requests?
So this is Anissa. I just really want to say thank you, because I'm inspired to do some different things right now, right? And really listening to your list, it just makes so much sense to someone like me to follow through with some of the things that you said, like, you know, don't let the news be the first thing you turn on in the morning, right? And not to like let everything that's happening around you, all the social media events and stuff like that, be your focal point, right? But to then think about how do you, you know, manage saying like, yeah, this is happening and I have to accept it right now. And how do I continue to live and thrive in a way that is healthy for me, right? And then being able to have folks like to meet new people. So I'm a people's person. And so I'm really excited about seeing other people's faces and having conversations. And so this was really inspiring for me. And I want to say thank you very much to you and Michele for doing this. And yeah, so I will follow through with some of the suggestions. And I don't go out as much, but I do have an exercise bike that I try to do at least 5 minutes a day, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, now that I'm home. And I'm taking a real serious suggestion on how to block time, because I need to sometime come away from this computer and this chair that I'm sitting in, because this is how I've been spending most of my days, is at the computer, right? Without really thinking about time and blocking time. And I don't have small children, but I am married and my husband works nights. So right now that I'm here talking with you guys, he's in the bedroom sleeping, or supposed to be. He might be listening to my conversation.
Notes.
Yes, which hopefully he is taking notes, right? And yeah, so this for me really just helps to inspire me to really look at how I can continue to do my work, but then also how do I work in a team and make sure that myself and my team are staying healthy and alert, right? And doing some things that is good for our body, mind, and spirits. So thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Well,
Hi, this is Naomi. I also want to thank you both for this time with us, because at this time there's, a lot of confusion, a lot of, you don't know which way to go. And this is all new to us. So this is a great forum, I think, to discuss that. I wanted to know if you guys could, the list that you were talking about, meditation, writing down certain things that to use your time productive, you could put that together in an email and send it to us. Because then I can also put that in my book, manifestation book, and try to keep to those terms, because I think that is a great way to start your day.
Sure. Now, if you scroll above, if you can see it in the, do you have access to the chat?
Yes.
Okay, if you scroll above, you'll see one of the comments towards the middle of our chat is from me, from Amber, and it's a link to my website, and the blog post that has a list of everything that I mentioned is right there. So you have that, but we can also follow up with that in an email after the call.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Here, I'm gonna actually cut and paste it again because maybe I
Okay.
used one before you were before you joined us. So I just sent it just now.
Okay.
And I'll sort of elaborate because I was just speaking to the communication, compassion, and trust elements. So I'll embellish on them so that you all have that as future reference for what it's worth.
And believe it or not, through this confusion, also I wanted to add how I'm finding my voice, like in terms of what you guys were talking about communicating with your boss and your job and your with your subordinates, if you have subordinates, just communicating that you're supporting them and that you're there for them, and also communicating your challenges. I think people also kind of gravitate to you if you're having challenges as well and want to try to help you. So just, this is a time to express if you're having a problem, if you need help or support in something. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, one other thing I'll add, a lot of the work that I do with clients, especially those that have come to me for career coaching, is about branding, personal branding. While we're working remotely, we may really feel isolated. And how do we ensure that our manager or even others that are part of our line management system are aware of the value and the contribution and the projects that we're working on? So, this is still the time to work diligently to make sure that not only are we kind of communicating to our teams or to our immediate manager, but that other higher ups are aware. And certainly we have to perhaps follow the protocol of what our manager expects, but it's about staying on radar to make sure that with whatever your projects are, that the status updates, that you don't become invisible. Because, we may be working like this for the next 3 to 6 months. And certainly as the mid-year evaluations come up or the year-end evaluations come up, you want to make sure that the right people are well aware of the work that you've been doing. And the squeaky wheel, right, is what gets the oil. You don't necessarily just want to hunker down and get the work done. You want to make sure that simultaneously you are communicating the outcome and the deliverables to the right people.
Michele, can I add to that? Because I'm with you as a...
Any other thoughts, any other best practices or advice or experiences that any of you want to share with each other? We're open to that as we...
I think Lisa wanted to speak as she was talking. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I think my microphone was off. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I first of all, yes, thank you very much for hosting this, Michele and Amber, and the rest of you on board with your questions and your thoughts and the support. I just wanted to add on, Michele, what you were just saying, because as a career coach, I'm working with my clients in a similar situation about the mid-year and the year-end reviews, which will still happen, and how to keep your performance up. So just sort of adding on to what you're sharing about stay on their radar, keep producing. One other thing is, I think, is to keep track of your production and results, because when it comes time to having those mid-year reviews and year-end reviews, you want to be able to prove what you actually achieved, especially during a time where you're not visible. So if you're getting emails from a customer or a client that says thumbs up, if someone says, yes, you fixed a problem, or that revenue is generated or a problem was solved, that sort of track that, whether you put it on a handwritten note or you're tracking it digitally, so that when those reviews come up, you actually have those statistics and those metrics and those numbers, and even of a qualitative terms about what you've achieved for the company. Because it's so hard. I mean, this is just in regular days, not even in this situation at the end of the year, to remember all the things that you achieved. So I think if we keep track of it, and I actually coach my clients to monthly setting a calendar entry in your calendar, whether it's Outlook or whether it's on your paper calendar, track results and go down there and handwrite. What did I achieve this week? How many projects did I complete? How many customers did we add? reductions in costs, etc. So if you keep a running tab of those achievements, it'll be much easier to drum them up when you're going to have those performance conversations.
That's an excellent point, Lisa. Porsha?
Yes. I just wanted to also, of course, thank you two ladies for putting this together because, you know, I really, really got some great information and I enjoyed it as well. With the list of waking up and meditating. So it kind of, for me, validated that what I wake up feeling is normal because I literally woke up today and I was like, okay, I need to wake up in better spirits. So I just want to share this brief story with you all. When I woke up today, so sometimes I can be like my biggest critic and be really hard on myself. So I took it upon myself today to write a daily oath. So this is something that I will look in the mirror and say to myself every day. And just really briefly, it says, today I thank God for the life I have, the good and the bad, the struggles and the joy. I will make today great on purpose, no matter what obstacles come my way. I will express kind words to a stranger and then to myself. I will remember that I am pretty, strong, perfectly flawed, and smarter than what I give myself credit for. I will not be so hard on myself, but won't stop working on myself. I will continue to dream big and know that with hard work, my dreams will soon be my reality. I will not fall short or compare myself to others because the person responsible for me looks at me in the mirror. I will keep my faith, trust the process as well as God, because life is going to test me. So always stay 10 toes down and never fold. So that was kind of like reassuring for me based off what Amber was saying, as far as waking up and meditating or praying. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That
Portia.
is fantastic. So inspiring.
Yeah. And how much better did you feel when you said those words to yourself than just
Oh my gosh. It was like so cliche, but it was like it was magic. Like I literally like stood in the mirror and I said these things to myself because sometimes I'm so hard on myself. You know, I'm the oldest of 6 siblings. I kind of keep myself on a high pedestal. I'm a super great auntie. So all my nieces look up to me. And sometimes I feel like the world is on my shoulders, but I just have to remind myself that, you know, I'm normal. This is life. You know, don't be so hard on myself. I'm perfect where I'm at, but I'm always willing to improve, if that makes sense.
Yes, indeed. So inspirational. Made me feel better. Trust me. Made me feel better. I ingested it.
You know, Porsha, we're going with the flow here. And as you just said that, I want to just use that as encouragement to others to put together your move forward manifesto or your personal oath of how you're going to handle yourself during this time. Because by setting that intention, it makes you more purposeful in your days and makes you, it's like your compass and your guidance through this of, okay, this is how I said I wanted to show up and this is what I'm committed to. So Porsha, thank you so much for sharing that. And I encourage you guys to also to come up with what you say to yourself in the morning. Like I said, a move forward manifesto, a personal oath, whatever you want to call it. But that's really great advice, Porsha. Thank you.
One thing I want to add as we close this out, Amber and I, we haven't had this conversation, but hopefully she'll be willing to possibly co-host future group coaching sessions like this, especially if you guys have found it beneficial today. And we will be more than happy to possibly send out a questionnaire. But before we end officially, are there any other topics that you all might find interested in being sort of the subject matter for future group coaching sessions that we haven't covered today?
I was thinking of one. I'm not sure if this falls anybody's expertise, but I know it's been on my mind lately about with the stock market being the way it is and about investments, or I don't know nothing about the stock market or investments. I just know that it's kind of like a right time to do so if you're able to do so, but I don't have no knowledge at all whatsoever about it or how to go about it.
So I'll just tap into that. I actually have Michele. First off, I'm just going to say this in front of everybody because Michele knows whenever you want to do anything with me, I always want to do. I love working with you. You're like one of my favorite people on the planet. And so we can have this conversation. Porsha, thank you for suggesting that. I actually have a couple financial advisors that I work with, and I was working on putting together some pieces with them. And so that's great confirmation to hear that you would be interested in getting some advice on the stock market, and maybe just also interested just overall, and just people have questions about how this will impact our finances and how to plan ahead and be as diligent as possible in managing our finances so that we can get through this. So Michele and I will talk after this call, and we can figure out how to put that into another webinar topic. Another one, Michele, that came up for me that I thought, and just hearing Lisa speak, is maybe something on leadership through quarantine, on how Michele does. This is my son. I'm just going to put him in the screen so he can stop screaming. Michele does amazing, excellent executive coaching and training, which you all know, and leadership training. And so leading your team while they are working from home is probably another something that people, I see some heads shaking, so that people would find some,
How to lead and work through a crisis.
Yeah.
Topic. Yeah. One thing I'll also add, I was thinking about, there's a colleague I have who's a physician, and she's very knowledgeable. She's part of a group that I'm a part of as business owners, but I've already asked if she would be willing to be on here so that as a physician and a medical professional, that she can answer our questions, because we're reading a lot of information and a lot of the sources are accurate and some of them aren't, but what better opportunity but potentially have a medical professional on a call to really kind of give us up-to-date information and answer any questions that we might have. So that's another topic that we'd be more than happy to bring to you guys. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, can everybody hear me? Because I don't even know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear? Okay, good. First, I want to thank Amber and Michele for this wonderful networking virtual opportunity. We need this so much. And thank you just for coming up with this. And as I'm looking at the Brady Bunch pictures across the screen, all the beautiful faces and the names, I don't know if everyone saw Avengers Endgame, but if you didn't see it, there's a scene at the very, very end where Captain America is facing like the villain, and he's all by himself, and his team is pretty much done for, and there's no one else around, and he has a broken shield, and he's staring into the face of the abyss, because pretty much he's not going to make it. It's just, and then at the very last second, his entire crew shows up. Now, for people who saw the movie, they know the scene that I'm talking about on your left, and the people start showing up and coming out of holes in the air, and and the audience just lost it. People were just screaming and crying and throwing tissues and just having a moment. Well, when I look at all the people that have shown up today, that's what it felt like to me, because you sit at home and, if you have a family, sometimes you can still feel like you're by yourself because you're in your own thoughts and you're like, how am I going to do this? And how am I going to do that? And you're by yourself, right? And then someone like an Amber or Michele says, hey, I got this, online event. You can come because you're home. I don't know where you're going. So you may as well just log in, and then you log in, and one by one, you see the faces, bing, bing, bing. Bing, bing, bing. You see what I'm doing, right, ladies? I can tell a story. Michele, tell them that I can tell a story. Can you tell them?
Stephanie is a storyteller for sure.
So you see the people coming on the screen, and that's what it felt like. And you realize, A, you're not alone. B, we're all in this together. C, there's a network of people who showed up, because there are people right now who are still wondering, should I log in? I don't know. But for the people that push through all of that, push through the discomfort, even if your video screen is on or off, the fact that you showed up. Yeah. There you go.
Let's give ourselves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
So thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes our group coaching call, and stay tuned. We will be absolutely offering more of these, and we hope that you return. Tell others about it, because we've got capacity. We could probably do this for 50 plus people. So Thank you. Have a great, productive day. Stay safe and serene.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Back at you.